In the last video, you learned how to make a granny square. From like the basics of how to learn how to make one of these granny squares with this mohair yarn. You use 2 skeins of the same color to create one of these squares. Now I'm going to show you how to piece them together to make a sweater. This video might be a little confusing for beginner crocheters, but just follow along, and if you still don't understand, you can go check out the PDF I put together. It may provide some sort of insight, but I'm hoping that this visual will be helpful enough. So once you make your second granny square, you're going to continue until you have 3 rows. Then you're going to crochet that last row until you finish 2 corners and are on your 3rd corner. After you do your first cluster of 3 double crochets, chain 1, and then you're going to slip stitch into one of the corners of the first granny square you originally made from the previous video. Then you're going to chain 1 and then go back into that same space you just did your last cluster of 3 in, and you're going to double crochet 3. You are attaching this square to the original square you made. Then, after you do that last cluster of 3, you're going to slip stitch and the next chain space from the other granny square. Then you're going to double crochet 3 in the chain 1 space from the second granny square you made, and you're going to keep attaching this granny square to the original one. This method is known as the granny square stitch method for seaming granny squares together. So if you were to look up granny square blankets and seaming them together, or the granny square stitch seaming method, something along those lines, you would see something like this. With the granny square stitch method, you are typically doing 1 row around multiple different squares, where the way that I'm using this method, I'm just doing it with individual squares and attaching them using that method, but individually, if that makes sense. Again, you can look up what this method is to help you understand a little bit better about what I'm kind of saying here, but I did want to talk through just attaching the first square, because the rest of the squares you're pretty much attaching it the same way, and I feel like you don't necessarily need to hear me talk about it. I know I personally find it annoying when people just blabber on in videos, so I thought that talking through the first square would be beneficial, and then having visuals for the rest would be beneficial and not as annoying. And if this is still a little bit confusing on how to seam them together to make this sweater work, you can access my PDF for free on my website. It's just linked on my Instagram. It'll be linked in this description as well, so you can go and check that out. This video only shows you how to seam together like the main squares that you would be using, because you're going to be using the same technique over and over again. If you want to see the layout and how to attach these squares after watching this video and seeing how you seam them together, then go check out that PDF, because that will help you with laying it all out, sewing them together and whatnot. I mean, technically it is a no-sew sweater, but you do have to sew a couple things together, but like minimal sewing compared to other patterns and other designs. So I tried to make this the least amount of sewing as possible, because nobody likes doing that. I really hope that this video is helpful for you all. Please go check out the PDF. If you're stuck or confused, you're welcome to DM me as well, and I will get back to you within, I'd say, 2 days to a week, depending on my work schedule, because I do have a full-time job. So please keep that in mind. I do respond to everybody. I want to make sure that I'm helping everyone and making sure everybody's having the most positive experience with my designs. So please bear with me. I promise I want to help everybody and get to everybody and answer any questions that anyone may have. I absolutely love this community and love how supportive everyone is, and I want to support you guys as much as you've supported me. Thank you all so much for watching this video and supporting me with all my designs and crochet. If you liked this video, go ahead, like, subscribe, and follow me on Instagram for any updates and notifications on the next new pattern that I would be coming out with.